Today I'm talking about HRClarity.Ai, the single employee view, and how it can bring clarity in an uncertain world. I want to talk to you about the many ways in which HR Clarity can be used. And it's potentially is you have one of these issues in your organization where HR Clarity could help. It might be that you have engagement issues or Glassdoor scores are inconsistent across the organization. Is that you've got a great score overall, but every now and again you keep on seeing these really odd reviews that are not typical. Or it might be that your employee base has changed in terms of what they want from you. And this has happened in a large number of organizations and sectors as a result of the pandemic. And you feel that you need to modify your people strategy so that it's more data-driven, evidence-based, and not just based on gut feel. Or it might be that you're in growth phase and concerned about ensuring that the team continues to excel at innovation, cross-functional teamwork, and performance as the organization grows, and that you keep your investors happy. Or you might be in another scenario where actually your sales profitability growth is low, even though you feel there's a large market potential. Your team continues to have difficulty innovating, cross-functional teamwork is difficult. The same issues keep on resurfacing without resolution. Or it might be that you want to optimize your benefit spend, and you know that 20% of the benefit spend has 80% of the impact, but which 20%, and how does that change for different employee groups? Or it might be that you're looking to acquire and need a robust people due diligence tool to figure out the strength of the management team. And you don't want to be just reliant on a handful of interviews with the C-suite, but you want to know what's the strength of the depth of the line managers and the rest of the organization, because that's what you're buying. And you want to know if there are any opportunities to improve team performance while simultaneously reducing people costs. Very, very important. Now you might be thinking, wow, there's a lot of things that HR Clarity can be used for. And the reason that it has a lot of use cases is because the value of HR Clarity is the model that it uses. And before I go into it, I want to kind of just give an example for what HR Clarity was built for and what it isn't. So first thing is, it's not an HR operational system. There are a large number of HR operational systems out there. You might be using Workday, PeopleSoft, or SAP if you're an enterprise organization, or if you're an SME, you'll be probably using HiBob, Monday.com, HR Iris. Lots of great software out there. You may have different systems for recruitment and onboarding, different for performance review, different for absence tracking. Now, all those systems are very cost effective and do a great job of operationalizing and digitizing HR. And as a result, they generate a lot of data, but they were not designed for data insights. They were designed to make operational processes easier. And so as a result, is that the data that it generates is a bit like a bar of iron that costs £5. And you must be like, what is going on about a bar of iron? Now, the same bar of iron, you could make it into horseshoes, and now it's worth £12. Or you turn it into needles, it's worth, and a little bit of treatment, you put carbon in it and turns into steel, and it becomes £3,000. But staggeringly, if you can turn it into balance springs for watches, it's worth £300,000. That same bar of iron that costs £5. Now, the value of something is determined by what you make of it. And actually, data is no different. Dashboards are worth a lot less than predictive models or organizational behavioral segmentation. Now, for a predictive model to be worth anything, you have to have a robust model for engagement. Now, this is a model that we developed over the last 30 years, and some of these elements you'll have seen before. Levers, you will have all have seen this, is that an organization uses levers to drive engagement, things like culture, mission, values, working environment, salary, well-being, benefits, learning and development, short-term incentives, long-term incentives. Now, there's a lot of focus on getting these things right, and importantly so, because they are very important. In our experience, we found that if there is an issue, one of the issues that I talked about in the first slide, then it's highly likely that it's not got very much to do with the things on the purple, that's not what's really driving it. It's also unlikely to be because there's a problem with your performance and appraisal systems. The issue is likely to be with the line managers. And a lot of models do not have line managers in there because historically it's just been difficult to kind of model line managers. And it's the line managers that impact their team's behavior in terms of retention, absence, and productivity, and how the line managers translate what's on the purple into ultimately the core, the bullseye, the engagement. Now, what does HR Clarity do? HR Clarity, first of all, it figures out the mathematical relationship using some very, very clever modeling between the things on the outside, the purple, and the things in the blue on the inside. It also uses behavioral segmentation to figure out which line managers might need additional support. Most people do not leave an organization, they leave their line manager. In an extreme case is that some of those line managers that need support might well be SOBs. Now, SOB is a term coined by Professor Manfred Katz-de Vries, a leading authority on organizational behavior. It's been professor at INSEAD for several decades. And he writes, it can be very difficult to distinguish between a genuinely talented executive and a seductive operational bully, an SOB. As many as their defining characteristics, their polished charm, cool decisiveness, and fondness for the fast lane are easily mistaken for effective leadership qualities. Various studies, and there's lots of this, but I pulled out just three, that show the impacts of poor line managers and particularly SOBs on their team in addition to decreased retention. One is that they're less likely to be innovative. That's in the effects of abusive supervision and motivational preference on employees' innovative behavior in Sustainability 2020. Their cross-functional teamwork will be impacted as they're less likely to be good corporate citizens and help support others. That's in abusive supervision climate and its impact on group outcomes in the Academy of Management Journal 2014. And they're much less likely to trust their manager and organization and suffer from mental health issues. That's in Coping with Perceived Abusive Supervision in the Workplace, the Role of Paranoia, Journal of Leadership and Organizational Studies 2018. Now, you might be saying is that, look, we've got great recruitment process in place and great performance appraisal process in place. We've got a system that employees can report their line managers. Now, you probably do have, great systems in place, and in many of the organizations that I've worked in, they've had incredibly great and really robust recruitment processes and also appraisal processes, and they've got all kinds of ways in which people can report abusive line managers. Unfortunately, no matter how good it is, and even the best systems, SOBs are incredibly good at manipulating traditional HR processes. They're the ones who are likely to ace your recruitment process. They're also the ones that are likely to ace the performance appraisal process. And they're also likely to be very good at making, if there is an issue and someone in their team feels bad or doesn't feel right, they're incredibly good at gaslighting and the ability to make the team members feel that it was their fault. So it will never be reported, they've got an incredibly great relationship and been able to talk their way out of it. And people know that there's no point in complaining because nothing will get done, and actually it will cause more trouble for you in the end. Or there might be a favorite of somebody in the C-suite. Now, so they're incredibly good at manipulation, and that's what makes it incredibly difficult for traditional HR processes to weed them out. But thankfully, is that they cannot manipulate the data. They cannot manipulate organizational behavioral data captured by payroll and absence. And that's what HR Clarity does. It pulls together all employee data to create a single employee view, the SEV. It then uses the AI and ML to create employee segmentation based on behavioral data and predictive models, those mathematical relationships between the purple elements and the blue elements, to create data-driven insights to drive engagement and reduce costs. These are the balance springs that go into the watches. You're now going to extract all that value that your systems that you've already spent a lot of money on that are generating. And this is a great thing, is that actually 80% of the insight can be gained from just the payroll and absence data. And this is what we found in all the studies that we've done and all the work that we've done today. It's just quite surprising, but this is really the good news. And here's some other good news, is you could do this yourself. You can. You could hire a data scientist. You'd have to hire a good one. One of those costs 90K upwards. But you don't need to, because with HR Clarity, it's your own team of data scientists in the box, and that's what makes it incredibly cost effective, paying for itself many times over. Thank you for your time. Visit HRClarity.Ai for more info. Thanks.